Good afternoon. We continue now with our afternoon service for Yom Kippur. I want to remind folks who are with us from home or elsewhere in the world that you can find a link to our Machzor on our website. We begin now with the singing of Mi Ha'ish on page 325. Continue on page 326. At this hour, Israel stands as one in prayer. All Jews on earth unite through memory and hope. A people unafraid, unvanquished, says to God, "This people you have formed still lives to tell your praise."
Still lives to share this teaching with our youth. Our ancient journey has not reached its end. The faith implanted at our people's birth is realized from age to age, our sacred covenant. This people, few in number, ventured forth to carve a lonely path through wilderness, with dreams of vines and fig trees, justice in the gates, the land at peace.
And still we make our way across the desert. This people you have formed still lives to walk before you. Exiled once to Babylon, we learned the unity of God. A second time, dispersed by Rome, we learned that humankind is one. Hear, O Israel, the call still sounds. Eternity is ever present in your midst, a heritage of sacred purpose in your heart. Your past tells a story for all peoples. Your future holds a promise still unfolding.
At this hour, Israel stands as one in prayer. All Jews on earth unite through memory and hope. We look at one another and we know who we are. We look to our Creator and we know our strength.
In pursuit of truth, this people lives, to serve the Most High for the sake of life. Behind us, pain and glory. Before us, holy work. Timeless words command us. Toward eternity we gaze.
Page 328.
Vayhi binso Aharon, Vayomer Moshe.
Please rise.
Kuma Adonai, V'yafutzu oivecha, V'yanusu misanecha mipanecha. Ki mitzion tetzei Torah. Ki mitzion tetzei Torah. V'yodeva Torah, Torah, Baruch Shenatan, Torah, Torah, Le'amo Yisrael,
B'kedusha tov.
Shema
Israel.
Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Eloheinu.
Gadol Adonenu Kadosh v'nara Shemo.
Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh v'nora Shemo.
Gadlul Adonai iti uniro mima Shemo Yachedav Lecha
Adonai Hagedul. Wait, hold on.
Ve'atiferet ve'hanetzach ve'hahod Ki
Hov Hashamayim u'va'aretz. Adonai Amalacha Please be seated.
Eliza.
I like that stage whisper, Rabbi. Good. Wonderful.
This afternoon, we read from Leviticus 19, a chapter of the Holiness Code. This morning, I spoke of the high priest in the temple, and he would read Torah in the temple on Yom Kippur morning. In an act of sort of meta-reading, he'd read a chapter, Leviticus 16, which is still the traditional reading on the morning of Yom Kippur, and particularly in Orthodox and conservative congregations. It's an act of meta-reading because he would read a chapter that spoke about him. So the high priest would read about him and all the things that he would do. This chapter speaks about our holiness and how we are a nation of priests and have an opportunity to become holy, all of us. And so you can follow along on with the readings on page 338 is Leviticus 19. The blessings are on page 330. And we have, as our first chanter today, Eliza Schnitzer. So I'd like you to come up. And for our Aliyah, we want to give this honor to our board. So any members of our board who are with us this afternoon, I invite you to come forward for the blessing. Hi.
It's actually even better than
Nice.
yes.
Good to see you all. Do you want this? There's that too. All right. Oh, hello, Barry.
Baruch
Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Bahar Banu Mikol Ha'amim V'natan Lanu Et Torato Baruch
kadosh, ani Adonai Elohechem. Ish imo ve'aviv tira'u, ve'et shabbatotai tishmoru, ani Adonai Elohechem. Al tifnu el ha'elelim, ve'lochei masecha, lo tasu lachem, ani Adonai Elohechem. Vehi tizbechu, zevach shelamim l'Adonai, lirtzonechem tizbachu. Bayom tivchachem, ye'achel umichmochora, vechanotar al yom hashlishi, ba'etz yisaref.
Beautiful.
Not yet.
Not yet.
No. Will you point for me?
Yes.
Ve'im he'achol ye'achel bayom hashlishi, pigul hu lo yeratzeh, ve'ochelav avono yisa, ki et kodesh Adonai chilel, ve'nichreta ha'nefesh hahi me'ameha, uve'kutzrechem et ketzir artechem, lo techale pe'atzadcha liktzor, ve'leket ketzircha lo telaket, ve'karmecha lo teolel, uferet karmecha lo telaket, leoni ve'lager tazov otam, ani Adonai Elohechem. Lo tignovu, velo techachashu, velo tishakru, ish ba'mito. Velo tishava'u vishmi lashaker, vechilalta, et shem Elohecha ani Adonai. Lo ta'ashok et reacha, velo tigzol, lo talin. Peulat sachir itcha ad boker, lo tekalel cheresh v'lifnei iver, lo titein michshol, v'yareta me'elohecha, ani Adonai.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Amen. Thank you so much. Beautiful. We turn now to page 340. And we offer this prayer for those who are ill and for givers of care. As we now are in the 18th month of this pandemic, a pandemic that has certainly touched everyone, we offer these words together on our behalf, but also we offer them with the hope that next year at this time, as we gather for Yom Kippur, they will not apply to every single person in this world. So join with me. May the Eternal One, who blesses all life, bless and strengthen all of us who struggle against illness. May we whose lives are touched by illness be blessed with faith, courage, love, and caring. May we experience the support and sustenance of family, friends, companions, and community. May we be granted restful nights and days of comfort. We pray for refuah shlema, precious moments of healing, and a sense of wholeness in body and soul. May those who care for the sick with their hands, their voices, and their hearts be blessed with courage and stamina. May those who pursue healing through medical skill and knowledge be blessed with insight, patience, and compassion. May all of us, the sick and the well together, find courage and hope. And let us say, Amen. Please rise.
we have a lifter?
You want to lift? Oh, yes.
Ya'amod hamagvia tamod hagolelet. Vezot haTorah temsa Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael. Al pi Adonai miyad Moshe. Yai lai 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 lai. I'll hold the stuff. You do the
We have arrived at one of the best texts of this holiday, the story of Jonah, a story that's perfect for every single Yom Kippur, as it is a story about ultimate forgiveness, but it also seems quite perfect for this Yom Kippur because it is a story of a world turned upside down. This story, of course, is a humorous story. We live in a less humorous place these days, so it's nice to get a little lightness in the course of this afternoon. And so Jonah, the reading itself, it begins on page 344. The blessings begin on page 342. And it's a pleasure to invite forward Jennifer Wolfeld and Ron Schilling, who will be reading and leading us this afternoon. Are you okay?
Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bahar bin v'tovim v'ratzah v'divrehem hanei be'emet Baruch atah Adonai habocher b'Torah u'v'Moshe avdohu u'v'Yisrael amohu ובנביאי האמת והצדק. ויהי דבר אדוני אל יונה בן אמיתי לאמור. קום לך אל ניניבה העיר הגדולה וקרא עליה כי עלתה רעתם לפני. ויקום יונה לברוח תרשישה מלפני אדוני וירן יפו וימצא אונייה בהר תרשיש ויתן סחרה וירד בה לבוא עמהם תרשישה מלפני אדוני. ואדוני הייתי רוח גדולה אל הים וייסע גדול בים והאונייה השבה והישבר. ויראו המלאכים ויזעקו איש אל אלוהיו ויטילו את הכלים אשר באונייה אל הים להקל מעליהם. ויונה ירד אל יקטי הספינה וישכב Vayeradam. Vaygrav elav, Rahav hachovel, Vayomelo, Malecha nirdam. Kuhum kara el Elohecha, Ulai hitashet Elohim, Lanu velo noved.
Maybe somebody can.
Vayaktaruhu honashim lahoshi elaya bosha v'lo yacholu ki hayam holek soher alehem vayikru el Adonai vayomaru Ono Adonai Alna Novido V'nefesh ha'ish hazeh V'al titein olenu domno ki ato Adonai kasher chofatzta asita Vayisu et Jonah v'yitilu el hayam V'yamod hayam mizapo Vayiru anoshim Yero gedolot Adonai Vayizbeku tzevach l'Adonai Vayidru nedorim Vayaman Adonai da gadol livlo et Jonah Vayehi Yonah b'mei hadag shlosha yomim u'shlosha leilot Vayipalel Yonah el Adonai Elohav b'mei hadaga Vayomer Karati mitzorali El Adonai v'naneni mi beten Sheol Shivati shamato koli Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam Sukol olamim Sadik b'kol hadorot Hoyel ne'eman Homev Yosef Hamendaber u'makayem Shekol dvorav Emet v'tzedek Al haTorah V'al ha'avodah V'al hanviim V'al Yom Kippurim hazeh Shenotat lanu Adonai Eloheinu limchila v'lislicha u'lechapora lekavod u'letiforet al hakol Adonai Eloheinu anachnu modim lach u'mevorachim otach yitbarak shemach b'fi kol chai ta'amid li'olam voed u'devarcha emet V'kayam lad, Baruch atah Adonai, Melech Malkeinu v'soleach lavonotenu, v'lavonot amo Beit Yisrael, u'ma'avir hashmotenu b'kol shana v'shana, Melech ha'kol haaretz, Mekadesh Yisrael, Melech ha'kol haaretz, Mekadesh Yisrael. Melech ha'kol haaretz, Mekadesh Yisrael. Melech ha'kol haaretz, Mekadesh Yisrael. Melech ha'kol haaretz, Mekadesh Yisrael v'yom ha'kippurim.
Shkoyach. Well done. It was great to see that live. Last year it was on video, so it was great to see that live and be with you for that. We continue now with returning the Torah to the Ark on page 352. Who may ascend the mountain of the Eternal, and who may rise up to the place where holiness abides? A person of clean hands and pure heart, who has neither taken a false oath nor sworn deceitfully. Such a person shall receive God's blessing and kindness from the well of salvation. Please rise. Please be seated. I am a relative newcomer, of course, to this congregation, and one of its most beautiful aspects, not of the congregation, well, ultimately of you, is that pretty much any time one of us asks you to do something, you say yes. And we've had 3 individuals, well, 2 so far, who have offered up themselves and their reflections on the meaning of the high holidays, one on Rosh Hashanah, one this morning, and now we have the 3rd. And so he said yes as well. And we have the treat of always reading what's going to be presented. So I've read what he's about to present, and it is a treat, and it will impact us. And I want to invite forward now Steve Rufalo.
Well, I'm extremely honored to have been asked to give my reflections on this most holy day. Shana Tova to everybody. On this high holy day, it's all about confessions. And I have a lot of experience with confessing as I grew up a Roman Catholic. When I describe my experiences growing up, I don't do it as a criticism of Roman Catholicism. I'm sure it's more of my experience as a young Catholic more than 70 years ago. And I'm sure there are members of our community who are Roman Catholic who find it rewarding and fulfilling. My first confession was as a 7-year-old. I was taught about the evil that the devil inflicts upon us. All of us children learned that we had a guardian angel that would help us choose goodness over wickedness. To give in to sin was a weakness, a judgment of my character. I strive for purity and perfection, which of course I wasn't able to achieve. But I would go to confession, ask forgiveness for my sins from the priest, which at times was embarrassing, since as an altar boy, I knew all the priests. And then I would go out into my life striving to be good, to be perfect. I felt like Sisyphus pushing the boulder up the hill to achieve goodness, only to watch it roll down the hill and then start once again, pushing the boulder up the hill. I think you get the point. When I married Francine, I learned about Yom Kippur and how we ask God directly to forgive our transgressions committed over the year. And then I learned that God won't forgive sins we've committed against other people, but that we need to ask them directly for their forgiveness. This made so much sense to me. As a community, God expects us to do the right thing for each other. As I studied Judaism during my conversion and beyond, I learned about the Yetzer Tov, the good inclination within us, and the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination within us. I found this tremendously freeing, a recognition that we are not perfect, that there are good and bad traits within us. In other words, that we are human. The fact that I had bad thoughts at times towards others doesn't make me a bad person. It just means I'm a human being. In my experience as a Catholic, I would be judged a sinner for the same thoughts. We can't control negative feelings that come upon us. They just happen. However, how we act in those feelings is most important and where we do bear responsibility. Growing up, sin was a very charged word for me because I took it as a judgment of me being a bad person. Reformed Judaism doesn't have a word for sin. In our faith, the word for sin is chet, meaning missing the mark, a far kinder and less judgmental word to describe our missteps. Recently, I reread parts of Pirkei Avot, which our clergy has referred to over the years. In fact, Rabbi Heath, I think Rabbi Sarah talked about it over the last 2 weeks. Pirkei Avot, Hebrew, for ethics of the fathers is part of the Talmud. Pirkei Avot was written almost 2,000 years ago. It is as relevant today as it was then. I believe that if I can remain mindful of these sayings, I can avoid the hurt that I may inflict upon other people I care about, as well as the stranger. Here are just a few. Show kindness to others. Meet every person with graciousness. Do not judge your fellow man until you have stood in his place. There is one more that really resonates with me at this time. Do not regard yourself as an evil person. On the surface, this is a pretty extreme statement, but I believe it was written this way to show how important it is to look for the good in ourselves and its effect on our daily lives. Rabbi Nachman of Braslav, one of the great rabbinic scholars who suffer from self-doubt, realized that many of us judge ourselves even more harshly than we judge others. He said, "Don't let yourself fall into depression. Search until you find some good in yourself, no matter how small." Rabbi Braslav, "The good you find within will give you new life and will bring joy to your soul." Our mistakes or failures generally result from misdirecting our energy rather than us being essentially flawed or evil. We need to be kind to ourselves. We have good hearts. We're told we are born with the spark of the divine. Adopting this perspective can encourage us to be more gentle with our self-criticism and more forgiving of ourselves when we miss the mark. I believe if I feel better about myself, I will treat others who are close to me more kindly and also be more open and kinder to the stranger. Beginning with these high holy days, this is my work that I will strive to do for this year and probably beyond. I will reach out to family, friends, and the stranger more easily because I will have an open and more caring heart. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Steve. A challenge, beautiful personal words, as well as a challenge for each of us. We can each let that light in, take the work that you're willing to do on yourself, and see if we can reflect that on our own selves as well. Page 356 begins the silent Amidah. It goes all the way till page 411. We will sing the opening meditation, and then I encourage you to flip through the prayer book and find some of the beautiful reflections or poems that respond to you. Focus on one or two. If it's your prayer book and you're at home, I encourage you even to take a note or two of what that means. And if you're able, I'll ask you to rise.
Adonai Svatai Tiftach, Adonai Svatai Tiftach, Ufi Yagid Tilatecha, Ufi Yagid
394.
Ritzei Adonai Eloheinu ve'amecha Yisrael u'tfilatam be'ahava tekabel. Tamid avodat Yisrael.
Please be seated. 412. As parents, you show tenderness to their children. May you show mercy to those who worship you. Like the heavens that tower above the earth, your love is powerful for those who revere you.
So I'd like to call up Ella and Sam. Kirachem Av. As a parent shows tenderness for their children. We're going to sing this to you together. I think I've been waiting my whole life to have my kids sing this with me, so I'm so happy that you're here. All right. You guys want to take off your masks?
Shamayim al haaretz,
What a touching moment. Thank you so much, Ella, and thank you so much, Sam, and your super talented family, Cantor. What a blessing to have everyone, and Marcel too, as part of this amazing community. Page 413. I do not want to beg forgiveness or seek absolution, a poor petitioner before the throne. If a power flows through the universe, if some force or higher consciousness infuses all of life, it does not notice my misdeeds. Said Elisha, the heretic rabbi, there is no justice, there is no judge. No one to hear my confession, no one to grant me mercy, no one to seal my fate. Still the words of prayer are in my mouth. Still the wrongs I commit are on my mind. And still this yearning in my heart to make things right. Breathe free. Be clear. Be clean again. 416. Tavo lefanecha.
Eloheinu ve'Elohei avoteinu v'imotenu, tavo lefanecha, tefilateinu, ve'al titnalom mitchinateinu, anachnu azefanim ukashei aref lomar lefanecha Adonai Eloheinu Elohei avoteinu v'imotenu tzadikim anachnu v'lo atanu aval
Our God and God of all generations, may our prayers reach your presence. And when we turn to you, do not be indifferent. Adonai, we are arrogant and stubborn, claiming to be blameless and free of sin. In truth, we have stumbled and strayed. We have done wrong. Hashamnu, Agadnu,
Azalenu, Bibarnu Dofi, Hevinu, Vehirshanu, Zadnu, Amasnu, Nafalnu sheker.
Nafalnu sheker. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai.
Yatsnura.
Yatsnura. Turn to page 418 for Vidui Rabbah, the long confession. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha bezadon uvishkaga, ve'al chet shechatanu lefanecha bishvuat shaveh.
The ways we have wronged you deliberately and by mistake, and harm we have caused in your world through insincere promises. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha biflilut, ve'al chet shechatanu lefanecha bekalut rosh. The ways we have wronged you by judging others unfairly, and harm we have caused in your world by making light of serious matters.
Al chet shechatanu lefanecha beyitzer hara, ve'al chet shechatanu lefanecha beinayim ramot.
The ways we have wronged you by giving in to our hostile impulses, and harm we have caused in your world through condescension. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'yirhur alev, ve'al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'dibur peh.
The ways we have wronged you through our innermost thoughts,
and harm we have caused in your world through the words of our mouths.
Al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'chachash uvechazav, ve'al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'honaat re'ah.
The ways we have wronged you through lies and deceit, and harm we have caused in your world by mistreating a friend or neighbor. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'sinat chinam, ve'al chet shechatanu lefanecha b'vidui peh.
The ways we have wronged you by hating without cause,
and harm we have caused in your world through hypocrisy.
Together at the bottom of page 419 for all these failures of judgment and will. God of forgiveness, forgive us, pardon us, lead us to atonement. Continue on page 422. Failures of integrity. We wrong you when we wrong ourselves. For our failures of integrity, Adonai, we seek forgiveness. For passing judgment without knowledge of the facts, and for distorting facts to suit our purposes. For succumbing in silence to social pressures, and for acquiescing in beliefs we find offensive. For using others' bad behavior to excuse our own, and for blaming others for our mistakes and poor decisions. For pretending to emotions we do not feel, and for appearing to be other than we are. For condemning in our children the faults we tolerate in ourselves, and for tolerating in ourselves the faults we condemn in our parents.
Failures of justice. We dishonor you when we dishonor our society. For our failures of justice, Adonai, we seek forgiveness. For being indifferent to deprivation and hunger, while accepting a culture of self-indulgence and greed. For abuse of power in boardrooms, courtrooms, and classrooms, and for accepting the neglect of children and elders, the ill and the weak. For permitting social inequalities to prevail, and for lacking the vision to transcend our selfishness. For glorifying violence and turning hastily to war, and for allowing history to repeat itself. For behaviors that risk the future of our planet, and for wreaking havoc on our only true inheritance, God's creation.
Failures of love. We sin against you when we hurt one another. For our failures of love, Adonai, we seek forgiveness. For exploiting another for our own pleasure, and for the wounds we cause through betrayal and deception. For withholding affection from those we claim to love, and for using love to control our spouses and parents, our children and parents. Our spouses and partners, our children and parents. For abandoning friends and siblings whose love has sustained us, and for neglecting those who love us when they need us most. For harboring in our relationships mistrust, boredom, and disloyalty, and for rejecting our partner's effort at repair and renewal. For possessiveness, jealousy, and avarice, and for lashing out in anger at those who are closest to us.
Let's read together at the bottom of the page. Who among us is blameless? Who shall say, I have not erred, I have not wronged or sinned? We abuse, we brutalize, we covet, we deceive, we enslave, we feud, we gossip, we humiliate, we injure, we judge unfairly, we kill, we lie, we manipulate, we neglect, we ostracize, we plagiarize, we quarrel, we rage, we shame, we turn away, we undermine, we vilify, we waste, we exploit the earth, we yearn too much for yesterday, and too easily forget Zion. Our sins are an alphabet of woe. Help us, Holy One, to follow your ways of integrity, justice, and love. Teach us to seek forgiveness with humility and an open heart.
We continue on page 427. Please rise. Avinu Malkeinu, we join generations of Jews who have sought your compassion. Shechina imenu, nurturing presence. Makor binatenu, source of insight and understanding. Tzur chayenu, unweathered stone, steadying strength beneath us. Yedid nafshotenu, intimate soul companion. Chonenu va'anenu, we open to you in self-examination. Grace us and answer us. Be present with us and inspire us. Accompany us. Assure us we are not alone. Ki ein banu ma'asim. We approach you empty-handed, our accomplishments set aside. Rather than defend ourselves, we confess. We are brokenhearted at our failures, and our world remains unrepaired. Asei imanu tzedakah v'chesed. Embrace us generously as we expose our errors. Be our example. Hold us with abundant love. Turn us to face the world with justice and compassion. V'hoshienu, save us. We join our strength to yours as we offer ourselves fully to life ahead. Page 428. Avinu Malkeinu, chatanu lifanecha. Avinu Malkeinu, almighty and merciful, we have strayed and sinned before you.
Avinu Malkeinu, ein lanu melech ela ata.
Avinu Malkeinu, you alone are our sovereign. Avinu Malkeinu, aseh imanu lema'an shemecha.
Avinu Malkeinu, act toward us as befits your name. Avinu Malkeinu, chadesh aleinu shana tova.
Avinu Malkeinu, renew us a year of goodness. Avinu Malkeinu, schor ki afar anachnu. Avinu Malkeinu, remember we are but dust of the earth.
Avinu Malkeinu, tehei hasha'a hazot, sha'at rachamim ve'et ratzon milfanecha. Avinu Malkeinu, let this hour in your presence be a time of compassion and acceptance.
Avinu Malkeinu, chamol aleinu, ve'al olaleinu, v'tapenu. Avinu Malkeinu, have compassion on us and on our families.
Avinu Malkeinu, aseh lama'an tevuchim al yichudecha. Avinu Malkeinu, act for the sake of those slain, their devotion to you.
Avinu Malkeinu, aseh lama'an harugim al shem kodshecha. Avinu Malkeinu, act for the sake of those killed because they were Jews.
Avinu Malkeinu, aseh lama'an ba'e ba'esh uvamayim al kiddush shemecha. Avinu Malkeinu, act for the sake of those who suffered fire and water
to sanctify your name.
Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Onenu Ma'anenu, Ki Ein Lanu Ma'aseh, Aseh Imanu, Tzedakah.
Avinu Malkeinu, almighty and merciful, answer us with grace, for our deeds are wanting. Save us through acts of justice and love. And join with me on the bottom of page 431. Give yourself to the dream, the lion and the lamb, the vine and the fig tree. Build it from the stones of earth, like the slow accretion of coral reef, and the mountains that rise by inches. Knowledge of the good shall fill up the earth as the sea overflows with water. Lift up your eyes and look to the stars. None shall hurt and none shall destroy, and great shall be the peace of your children. Page 432, the Aleinu.
L'shabeach la'adon hakol שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמענו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם אלוקינו כהם, וגורלנו ככל עמונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני
As the prophet announced, the Eternal shall be sovereign over all the earth. On that day, the Eternal shall be one, and God's name shall be one. Please be seated. Page 435. We stand before God who calls forth our strength. The nobility and truth of our history is in God. In God, the source of our survival, our firm stand through trial and change. Ours is a history of spiritual greatness, a legacy of spiritual dignity. We turn to it when we are besieged by insult and attack. We look to it when need and suffering press in upon us. From generation to generation, the Eternal led our ancestors. The one who leads us through all our days will lead our children through theirs. We stand before our God, strengthened by reverence for the sacred obligations of Torah, ennobled by a commitment to do what is just and right. We bow before God, stand upright before all people. In a world of tumultuous change, we are steadfast. We serve the Eternal. With humility, we say, our faith is in God, whose call is compelling. Our response will shape our future. We continue with the singing of Olam Chesed.
Olam Chesed Yimaleh, Yalalai, lai, lai, yalalai, lai. Olam Chesed Yimaleh, Yalalai, lai, lai, yalalai, lai.
We continue now with our Yizkor service, which begins on page 517.
Ani vochia al eile ani vochia ani vochia oi heini Meshiv nafshi, oy heini, eini, eini, yardamayim, ki rachok mimeni, menachem Meshiv nafshi.
I don't know precisely on which day things changed. The day that I moved from remembering him daily, automatically, without fail, to remembering him occasionally. It was, in a sense, a second loss. Less shocking, certainly less powerful than the first. The loss of the body, the person, the daily possibility for contact. But this second loss, the loss of memory, the loss of his being constantly in my thoughts, was still painful. As with the death of my father, the death of my memories of him and of his death stirred new feelings of guilt. The first time I forgot to buy the Yizkor candle, the first time that I couldn't remember exactly which day my father died, and then having to ask my mother, was it May 17th or was it May 19th? I thought it was 5 days after my birthday. I felt guilty for this loss of memory, for it signified the breaking of vows, the vows I had made to always remember. Elaz Kara. I will remember these things, I told myself as I stood in the Beth Israel hospital. I will remember how I feel right now, how this place looks, the sound of the breathing machine, how you look, so small, bald, clean, innocent. I will remember you, Dad. The loss of memory, a betrayal of the dead, a betrayal of the self. Turned out that the images are not seared into my memory after all. I do recall being scared of exactly this, scared of forgetting what happened and how it happened. The minutiae of the crisis took on such sanctity, and I thought at the time that through the endless repetition, through the constant explaining in the days leading up to and after May 17th, telling how my father's life was ending and how I felt about it, that I would never forget. It was so important then to get the details right, to tell the story very precisely, even as I was living it. I've never been so full of language as when I was explaining the permutations of the crisis. Such a clear, straight connection between my thoughts and my lips. Yet even then, it turns out, I was trying to forget what was going on. I wanted to stop talking and to start feeling. And I only know this because I wrote it down the day after my father died. It is, of course, beyond an intellectual puzzle, I wrote. The pieces can't fit. I want to move past the point of keeping track of the pieces. This entry from my journal of that period describes a desire to forget. Yet the journal itself serves as evidence of my fear of forgetting. I wanted to be able to remember the desire to forget. And now my journal functions as a trigger to memory. This is its role. No doubt the loss of these painful images, their sustained absence from my consciousness, and the subconsciousness of dreams is a sign of healing, of no longer being traumatized by my father's death. But when these images faded, so too did the sense of his daily presence, sustained through the almost constant remembrance of his life. Now, I rely on certain triggers, such as my journal, to remember. Most often, we have accidental encounters with our memories of our loved ones that are spurred by sights, smells, and tastes. It is these encounters with an eclectic range of objects and images, often in the most mundane moments, that somehow manage to capture perfectly the essence of those who have died and of our particular relationship to them. I remember my father when I eat cottage cheese or pumpernickel bread. I wear a Brooks Brothers sweater or listen to Stravinsky's Rite of Spring. When I play a Steinway piano, it's the 4th of July, and sometimes when I look at my hands while I drive, for I have my father's hands, and I hold the steering wheel as he did. I have my father's hands. Perhaps we make recompense for our loss of memory by growing into that person, by hearing his voice in my mouth. Our memories of the dead are triggered by the sound of our own voices. We, our very selves, become pathways to memory. This can be unsettling. Oh no, I sound just like my father. The moment feels like a reproach of him and of me, for I often hear his voice most clearly emerging from my mouth when I am angry, and I don't want to sound like him then. I didn't like how he sounded when he was angry, but I learn from this memory of him. I hear his voice too in more subtle ways, sometimes when I sing or when I write. We may grow into our parents, but there are aspects of this inheritance that we may change. We have the opportunity to keep learning from those who have died. These next moments are set aside for the reclamation of memory. Generally, our remembering occurs in private, unforeseen moments. But then there are days like this one, in which time is formally set aside for the perusal of memory. Ironically, it is in these special dedicated moments that sometimes it becomes hardest to remember. Here in our outdoor chapel, when we sit surrounded by so many others, and for those of us here who are here, we are separated from the sacred objects that so reliably provoke memories. Dad's favorite jacket, the picture of mom lifting you up as an infant. We do have our bodies and our voices, these unique, evolving depositories of past relationships. Yet we are distracted. We are hungry. For many of us, this reclamation takes effort and focus. The notion of concentration is encoded in a Hebrew word for memory, zecher. If you reverse the letters, Zayin, Kaf, Resh, you arrive at the Hebrew word for concentration, or concentrate, rakez, or rikuz. Sometimes, remembering takes a deliberate act. Turn these moments into a sustained encounter with the past. Push into the forefront of your consciousness images and memories of your loved ones. Rakzu, concentrate. Zichru, remember. We continue with Eli, Eli on page 540.
This is the hour of memory, in this our house of comfort. Wounded by loss, we retreat from life. Our synagogue gathers us in. Into this place we bring stories and prayers, unanswered questions, tears that need to be shed. Lives recollected and carried within us, moments of courage and laughter and pain. This day embraces them all. This place embraces us all. Now the heart opens in sorrow, for we are time's subjects, and all that we love we must lose. So let us hold fast to the love that remains, and cherish the light of the sun. Today all of us walk the mourner's path. Together may we find strength. (546). As the number 7 is a Jewish symbol of wholeness and holiness, our Yizkor service offers 7 ways to reflect on loss and memory, grief and healing. We choose, alone and together, from among these diverse lights. (549). More precious was the light in your eyes than all the roses in the world. The first candle on the loss of loved ones. Next page. We die. We die despite appointments and feuds, while our toddler, who has recently learned to say no, opens and shuts drawers 100 times a day, and our teen braces for the rapids of romance. We die despite the contracts and business trips we planned when our desk is untidy, despite a long list of things to do, which we keep simmering like a rich broth. We die despite work we cherish, marrying whom we love, piling up a star-spangled fortune, basking on the Riviera of fame, and achieving the human participle with no known object. 551. Page 554, there are some reflections on the first candle. I invite you to take a few moments with them in silence.
The second candle on inner strength and survival. Page 557. The courage that my mother had. The courage that my mother had went with her and is with her still. Rock from New England quarried, now granite on a granite hill. The golden brooch my mother wore, she left behind for me to wear. I have no thing I treasure more, yet it is something I could spare. Oh, if instead she'd left me the thing she took into the grave, that courage like a rock, which she has no more need of, and I have. Page 556.
Sinai el Harim Me'ayin yavo Ezri me'im Adonai. Ose shamayim Adonai yishmarcha mikol ra, yishmor et nafshecha. Adonai yishmar tzedcha, uvoecha, me'ata.
We now have time for silence. You can read the words on pages 557 through 559, or look at the questions on 560.
Page 561, the third candle on the holiness of memory. When I cry, my voice trembles with fear. When I call out, it cracks with anger. How can I greet the dawn with song when darkness eclipses the rising sun? To whom shall I turn when the clouds of the present eclipse the rays of tomorrow? Turn me around to yesterday that I may be consoled by its memories. Were not the seas split asunder? Did we not once walk together through the waters to the dry side? Did we not bless the bread that came forth from the heavens? Did your voice not reach my ears and direct my wanderings? The waters, the lightning, the thunder remind me of yesterday's triumphs. Let the past offer proof of tomorrow. Let it be my comforter and guarantor. I have been here before, known the fright and found your companionship. I enter the sanctuary again to await the echo of your promise. Hanishama Lach, page 562.
Hanishama, Hanishama Lach, Vehaguf Ohalach, Husa Husa Alamalach, Husa Husa Alamalach.
I needed to talk to my sister, talk to her on the telephone. I mean, just as I used to every morning and the evening, too, whenever the grandchildren said a sentence that clasped both our hearts. I called. Her phone rang 4 times. You can imagine my breath stopped. Then there was a terrible telephonic noise. A voice said, "This number is no longer in use." How wonderful, I thought. I can call again. They have not yet assigned her number to another person, despite 2 years of absence due to death. These are moments for silence, for us to reflect on the third candle, the holiness of memory, using the materials on pages 562 to 566. And I call your attention to the questions for reflection on page 566.
On page 567, we light the 4th candle for our most precious relationships.
There are stars up above, so far away we only see their light. Long, long after the star itself is gone. And so it is with people that we loved. Their memories keep shining ever brightly, though their time with us is done. But the stars that light up the darkest night, these are the lights that guide us as we live our days. These are the ways we remember as we live our days. These are the ways we remember.
Take some time now in silence to look at pages 568 through 578. In these pages, you can find on pages 570 and 571 the traditional Yizkor prayers. Choose those that are personally appropriate for you. Page 579, we light the fifth candle on acceptance. Page 580. The 5 stages of grief. The night I lost you, someone pointed me towards the 5 stages of grief. Go that way, they said. It's easy, like learning to climb stairs after the amputation. And so I climbed. Denial was first. I sat down at breakfast, carefully setting the table for 2. I passed you the toast. You sat there. I passed you the paper. You hid behind it. Anger seemed more familiar. I burned the toast, snatched the paper, and read the headlines myself. But they mentioned your departure. And so I moved on to bargaining. What could I exchange for you? The silence after storms? My typing fingers? Before I could decide, depression came puffing up. A poor relation, its suitcase tied together with string. In the suitcase were bandages for the eyes and bottles of sleep. I slid all the way down the stairs, feeling nothing. And all the time, hope flashed on and off in defective neon. Hope was a signpost pointing straight in the air. Hope was my uncle's middle name. He died of it. After a year, I am still climbing, though my feet slip on your stone face. The tree line is long since disappeared. Green is a color I have forgotten. But now I see what I am climbing towards. Acceptance, written in capital letters, a special headline. Acceptance, its name is in lights. I struggle on, waving and shouting. Below, my whole life spreads its surf. All the landscapes I've ever known or dreamed of. Below, a fish jumps, the pulse in your neck. Acceptance, I finally reach it. But something is wrong. Grief is a circular staircase. I have lost you. Page 583. continue silently on page 584. You can find some words for personal reflection at the bottom of that page as well.
Sixth candle on gratitude. $589. Father, today you would be 97 if you had lived, and we would all be miserable. You and your children driving from clinic to clinic, an ancient, fearful hypochondriac and his fretful son and daughter, asking directions, trying to read the complicated, fading maps of cures. But with your dignity intact, you have been gone for 20 years, and I am glad for all of us. Although I miss you every day. The heartbeat under your necktie, the hand cupped on the back of my neck. Old Spice in the air, your voice delighted with stories. On this day, each year you loved to relate that at the moment of your birth, your mother glanced out the window and saw lilacs in bloom. Well, today lilacs are blooming in side yards all over Iowa, still welcoming you. The reflections on candle 6 go from page 585 to 591.
Page 592, the seventh candle on finding peace.
Adonai Loi Loechsa Binut Teshayar B'tzeini Al Mei Menuchot Al Mei Menuchot Yenah
join me in the 23rd Psalm on the top of page 594. A psalm of David. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He guideth me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. A moment to reflect on the words on page 596. Our loved ones live in our broken hearts, and at times that brings some measure of healing. Their acts of kindness and generosity are the inheritance they leave behind. We feel their absence, but the beauty of their lives abides among us. As it is said, the name of one who has died shall not disappear. Our loved ones' names and their memories will endure among us. And these are the names on our lips and in our hearts. These are the names of the members of this congregation who died during the past year. Don Allen, Mae Briskin, Frank Burns, Jerry Delheim, Myra Enkelis, Jaron Feldstein, Jerry Frankel, Seymour Freed, Marilyn Goldfarb, Vera Gordon, Joanne Jacobs, Esther Mackauer, Linda Mankin, Hyman Mitchner, Alvin Platt, Joan Platt, Barry Plotkin, Edith Rosenkrantz, J. Norman Rawson, Paul Schwartz, Lorraine Seelig, Ruth Seiler, Gladys Stark, Geraldine Steinberg, Ruth Tarnopolsky, Asya Vinnick, Saul Wasserman, Alan Weber, Joyce Wertman, Lee Weeder, Ethel Weiner, Richard Zucken, Gary Zweig. Please rise for El Malei Rachamim. Page 598.
El Malei Rachamim, Shochen Bamromim, Hamtzei Menucha Nechona, תחת כנפי השכינה. אם קדושים וטהורים כזוהר הרקיע מזהירים לנשמות יקירנו שהלכו לעולמם לברכה. אנא בעל הרחמים יסתירם בסתר כנפיו לעולמים ויצרור בצרור חיים nishmatam. Adonai hu nachalatam, v'yanuchu b'shalom al mishkavam. V'nomar Amen.
Merciful God, God Most High, let there be perfect rest for the souls of our loved ones who have gone into eternity. May they find shelter in your presence among the holy and pure, whose light shines like the radiance of heaven. Compassionate God, hold them close to you forever. May their souls be bound up in the bond of life eternal. May they find a home in you, and may they rest in peace. Together we say, Amen. Page 601. What is the correct way to stand at a memorial ceremony? Erect or stooped, pulled taut as a tent, or in the slumped posture of mourning, head bowed like the guilty or held high in a collective protest against death, eyes gaping frozen like the eyes of the dead, or shut tight to see stars inside. And what is the best time for remembering? At noon when shadows are hidden beneath our feet, or at twilight when the shadows lengthen like longings that have no beginning, no end, like God? Page 602. We miss them at celebrations, when there's an empty seat at the table. We miss them when the community gathers and there's an empty place beside us. We miss them today and every today, with every year that passes as our life goes on without them. Their faces, their voices, the feel of our arms around them, these are with us forever. For so it is written, love is strong as death. The love that we gave, the love we received, these endure amid the pain of loss. Turn to words of Mourner's Kaddish on page 606. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'lamei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei d'kudesha brichu, le'ela u'le'ela mikol birchata v'shirata, tush bechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru Amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom b'ramav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, v'imru Amen.
I'll bring this closer up if I need it.
We turn to our Neilah service on 6/12. And as we have in past years, it is our custom to open the ark during Neilah and to invite anyone who'd like to spend some quiet moments in front of the ark on your own to please feel free to come on up. You can just make a line, maybe over on this side. We'll move the...
I'll do it on this side.
All right, we'll do it on this side. We'll move the music stands, and please feel free to come on up. And if you are unable to remain standing, even though the ark is open, please do sit down. Page 612. The long day is over, and the gates are closing. Slowly day fades into dusk. Soon the earth will darken. Our bodies weak and weary, our inner strength diminished. This day has been a gift. uncluttered time, free from hurry and routine, appointments or assignments, a time to face our sins and imperfections, our dreams and yearnings for the life we want to live, a time to leave the clamor of the world and attend to the voice within. Long ago, the temple gates were locked at dusk. So too at this hour, the gates of Yom Kippur begin to close. Have we done all that needed to be done? Said everything that needed to be said? The gates of God's compassion never close, but soon enough our lives close in on us. Now in the silence of the soul, now before the holy day comes to an end, release the unshed tears, the deepest prayers locked in our hearts. Page 615. Our God, Creator, God of awe, God sublime, whose deeds are true, have compassion, grant us pardon as we enter Neilah. Page 616 and 617, we have some words of reflection on this day of fasting. We'll take a few moments in silence. Page 620.
There's been a trend these days that Neilah has a little bit of a joyful spirit. This Chatzi Kaddish was written by one of the most famous cantors named Yossele Rosenblatt, and it It goes like this. It's a Hasidic.
Yosela.
All right, let's go. Yitgadal v'yitchadash me'era ba'amen ve'alma tivrach mirute ve'amrit malachute v'chayechon v'yom echon uv'chayed echol beit Yisrael va'agala uv'izman kariv ve'imeru 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 amen Yehi shmei Rabba levarach le'alam ule'al me'al maya Yitbarach ve'yishabach ve'yitpar ve'yitromam ve'yitnaseh ve'yitadar ve'yitalel ve'yitalal Shemei 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 v'kudesha v'kudesha v'richu Leila uleila mikol birchata birchata v'shirata tushvechata v'nechemata damiran be'alma ve'imeru amen amen.
Page 621. Yearning. Just a moment, a shaft of sunlight in the fog, a shift of mind and heart, a breath of peace. Just a moment, that's all I ask. To feel you there, to know your touch, to see the truth behind these words we speak. At the end of this long day, one last chance to stand before you. Exhausted as I am, I still have hope. Just a moment. Let me pray. We will pray the Amidah, our last Amidah, silently. It begins on page 622 and continues through 638. And if you'd like to put your talit over your head for a little extra quiet and keep focus, thank you. Please do. Page 622.
628. Open the gates of righteousness for us. Open the gates that we may enter and praise the Eternal. Open the gates for us, for all Israel, and for people everywhere. The gates of acceptance and atonement, beauty and creativity, the gates of dignity, empathy, and faith, the gates of generosity and hope, insight and joy, the gates of knowledge and love, meaning and nobility, the gates of openness, patience, and the quest for peace, the gates of renewal, song, and tranquility, the gates of understanding and virtue, the gates of wisdom and wonder, exaltation, youth, and old age, the gates of Zion, reborn and rebuilt in our time. Open the gates, open them wide, show us the way to enter. $640. Open a gate for us when the gates are being closed, for the day is about to fade. The day shall end, the sun shall set. Let us enter your gates. Holy One, we pray, please be patient. Please pardon and forgive. Please show compassion. Please lead us to atonement. And help us, please help us to conquer injustice and triumph over sin. $644. Majestic God, your throne is mercy, love and kindness your path. Though we wander and stray, your forgiveness grows as you pardon our wrongs one by one, doing what is right for every living being. In your mercy and love, do not treat us harshly for the harshness of our deeds. You teach us to proclaim your attributes, made known to Moses, man of humility, long ago. This day remember for our sake the covenant of your 13 ways. As it is written, the Eternal descended in the clouds, stood with him there, and proclaimed.
Adonai, Adonai, El Rachum v'Chanun Adonai.
So many words, they echo in my head. I'm emptied out, with no more strength to speak. Just my life breath, just my heart, just these broken shards of ancient prayer. They say the shofar's broken cry will reach you. You, rock of my heart, my portion forever. Join with me in the English on 646. Moses prayed to God, as you have been faithful to this people ever since Egypt, please forgive their failings now, in keeping with your boundless love. Adonai, Adonai, God compassionate, gracious, endlessly patient, loving and true, showing mercy to the thousandth generation, forgiving evil, defiance, and wrongdoing, granting pardon. God responded, I forgive as you have asked.
Continue at the top of page 651. You are our beacon, we are your burden. You are our enigma, we are your frustration. You are our call to conscience, we are your critics. You are our touchstone, we are your loyal opposition. Page 652. Read in the middle of the page together. This last confession of Yom Kippur. We are insolent, but you are compassionate and gracious. We are stubborn and stiff-necked, but you are slow to anger. We persist in doing wrong, but you are the essence of mercy. Our days are a shadow passing by, but you are existence itself. Your years never ending. Our God and God of all generations, may our prayers reach your presence, and when we turn to you, do not be indifferent. Adonai, we are arrogant and stubborn, claiming to be blameless and free of sin. In truth, we have stumbled and strayed. We have done wrong.
Hi da 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 Tafalnu sheker, ay ay ay
Ashanu,
Sararnu,
Ishinu Oref, Yai Dai 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 Dai, Yai Dai 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 Dai, Yai Dai 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 Dai.
Rashanu,
Rashanu,
Shihatnu,
Shihatnu,
Yanu,
Yavnu,
Hainu,
Hainu,
Yitanu,
Titanu, Yai Dai 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 Dai, Yai Dai 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 Dai, Yai Dai 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 Dai.
We'll read together at the bottom of page 653. What can we say to you whose existence is beyond time and space? What words of ours can reach your realm? Beyond the clouds, beyond heaven itself. Every hidden mystery, every revelation,
Surely
you know them all. Page 654. Ata noten yad lefoshi'im, v'yimincha peshuta lekabel shavim. You hold out your hand to those who do wrong. Your right hand opens wide to receive those who return. You teach us the true purpose of confession, to turn our hands into instruments of good, to cause no harm or oppression. Receive us, as you promised, in the fullness of our heartfelt teshuvah.
you show us
Many paths to forgiveness, countless ways to make our lives count.
For
you know that,
in
in
the end, we
we
will return to the dust of the earth.
What are we? What is our life? What is the breadth of our goodness,
the
depth of our righteousness,
the
true measure of our achievements and success? What use is our power?
What good is our strength?
Page 656. And yet, from the beginning, you set us apart. We stand before you, uplifted by your unique awareness of humanity. To page 659. We have aspired to reach higher. We have befriended those in need. We have created works of beauty. We have delighted in holy books. We have embraced our dear ones and held them close. We have fought for justice. We have given of ourselves. We have honored your mitzvot. We have immersed ourselves in prayer. We have joined hands to build community. We have kept our word with integrity. We have loved faithfully and well. We have moved toward the light. We have nourished and supported. We have opened ourselves to hope. We have pursued the good. We have quieted our anger. We have remembered those who came before. We have sought meaning in Torah. We have trusted and been trustworthy. We have uttered words of beauty. We have vigorously struggled to do right. We have wept over our shortcomings. We have exchanged blame for compassion. We have yearned to make life better. We have zestfully rejoiced.
Page 661. As soon as the fast of Yom Kippur concludes, pound the first nail into the sukkah. And join us on Monday night at 5 o'clock in Redwood City. More details to follow. To everything there is a season, a time for prayer and looking inward, a time to go outside and build. So it is written, one mitzvah inspires another. May this long day of fasting and self-denial inspire acts of creativity, generosity, and joy. May we go from strength to strength. As this day has been a refuge for the spirit, may we shelter one another in the sukkah. As we have shared worship and teshuvah, may we share hospitality and friendship in the days to come. Mindful that our days are fleeting, we prepare to taste the sweet fruits of this season, to cherish life, to celebrate the light. Page 665. Join with me. Set me as a seal upon your heart, as a seal upon your hand. As the book of life is closed and sealed, open our hearts, open our hands. Let those who ask forgiveness and those who gave forgiveness depart this place in peace. Let all God-seekers and soul-searchers of this day depart this place inspired and renewed. Together let us build a community of commitment. Let all of us be sealed this day. Gamar Hatima Tova, sealed for goodness and sealed for life. Sefer Chaim Tovim, sealed in the book of life and good, eager to taste life's sweetness, to enjoy the fruit of our labors, to bring light to the darkness and joy where sorrow dwells. Be sealed for a year of Torah and soulful searching. Be sealed for a year of kindness, good deeds, and love. As the book of life is closed and sealed, open our hands, open our hearts.
Avinu Malkeinu, Shema Koleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Atanu Lefanecha. Avinu Malkeinu, Amol Aleinu, Ve'alol Aleinu, V'tapeinu. Avinu Malkeinu,
Join with us on the top of page 667. To live life in all its fullness is to stand in awe before an open gate, to gaze into a doorway of hope, a wondrous portal of possibilities. Many are the gates of our lives, many the treasures toward which they lead. And how many close behind us, lost, forgotten, and sealed forever. How many gates, how many years, standing in awe before the gates of a new year, we see its most precious gift, the minutes and the hours, the days and the weeks, the treasure house of time. Every moment is a vessel of infinite holiness. Every morning, noon, and night is a gateway to life's immensity. How will we use this precious gift? So in a moment, we will sound the shofar together. And I want to invite anyone who has a shofar to come and spread yourselves up here and around this space. I'm hoping, oh good, I'm seeing some people pull some shofars out. That's good. After we blow shofar, we will immediately turn to Havdalah. And when we have concluded Havdalah, there's an opportunity to break fast together, something we weren't able to do last year. And so if you'd like to break fast briefly with us, please join us on the social hall patio before you move to your cars. So we continue now on page 672.
Nice.
Yasher Koach. I want to invite Jay Hirsch, our president, to join us on the bima. And Rachel Tash as well. If you could come out from where you are. Rachel has been working behind the scenes all throughout this day, and it's wonderful to have you come and stand with us. Thank you for all that you've done throughout this entire high holiday season.
Are there any other?
And also to join us on the Bima, any other of our colleagues, any staff from Beth Am, past or present, to come forward at this time and join with us. The blessings for Havdalah are on page 674 and 675.
Maybe we could turn that down just a bit in my monitor. Thank you. We're going to start with light.
Yeah.
What's on it? All right. Yeah,
Lai, lai, la, 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 lai, 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 la, 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 lai, lai.
ya la 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 la, ya la la la, ya la la.
Lai, lai, la, 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 lai, lai. Ya, lai, la, 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 lai, lai. La, la, lai, 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 lai. Ya, la, lai, lai, ya, la, lai.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri
Hagafen, borei peri hagafen. Yai, lai, yai, la, 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 lai, lai. Yai, lai, la, 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 lai, lai. Ya, la, lai, 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 lai. Ya, la, lai, lai, ya, la, lai.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei
Minei v'samim, borei minei v'samim.
ya la la ya la la
La, la, lai, lai. Lai, lai, la, 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 lai, lai. Ya, la, lai, 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 lai. La, la, lai, lai, ya, la, lai.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei ha'esh
Borei me'orei ha'esh. Borei me'orei ha'esh. Yai, lai, la, 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 la.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamavdil ben kodesh lechol ben or lechosher ben Yisrael le'amim ben Yom HaShvi l'sheishet yemei ha'maseh Baruch atah Adonai hamavdil ben kodesh Hamavdil ben kodesh lechol Chakotenu ho'yimol Zareinu v'chafenu Yarbe kachol Ve'akochavim balayla Shana tova 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 Shana tova. A good year, a year of peace. May gladness reign and joy increase. A good year, a year of peace. May gladness reign and joy increase.
Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hatishbi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu, Eliyahu Hagiladi, Imhera v'yamenu, Yahavo Eleinu, Imashiach ben David, Imashiach ben David, Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hatishbi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu, Eliyahu Hagiladi. Shana Tova.
All right. Thank you so much, Russell. You were amazing. Oh, thank you. Choir, you are angels. You have the voices of angels. Thank you so much, Paul Ellison. My gosh, you worked so hard. It was amazing. Ben Lloyd, thank you so much. Oh my gosh, where is he? Jacob Richter, you are amazing. Thank you so much.
All right.
I see you back there. Bingo. And thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
It was incredible. Just great. Yay.